we're not going to call it a summer break. It was more like a spring vacation, but RaceSpot Race Day is back, and we start off with the Formula Renault Sim Cup from historic Silverstone in just a few moments' time here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Let's get this beautiful weekend's worth of racing underway.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch him, watch him, watch him. Jam it. Get ready. Dude, more heads up in that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yeah! Yeah! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, sexy. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Room behind you. Control. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
IndyCar. The in and out lap. What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. He hit me. Inside, inside, outside, inside, outside.
2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. See what's next.
Welcome to Silverstone, that on May 13th, 1950, hosted the first ever Formula One World Championship event. It's one of the things that we talk about so often, but the track, yes, it's changed over time, but the substance of Silverstone remains. It's still an airport track, and it's still very, very fast. It's as flat as a pancake, and drivers here today in the Formula Renault Sim Cup, the RaceSpot TV Super Cup, and also, of course, in the 6th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, will be taking on this fantastic racing venue here today. It's Will Vinton along with Jonathan Simone. Well, we're back. We've had our spring vacation, Johnny, and all of a sudden, it's time for us to go once again racing.
Yeah, definitely is. Good to be back, everybody. I've missed this series. I've missed all the support series, the World Championship itself, and we're ready to go around historic Silverstone. What is a brilliant circuit, 3.5 kilometers in length, exactly 2 miles, with 17 turns. And we use the bridge layout, Will, which brings a bit of nostalgia to the day today, along with the real Le Mans 24 hours.
Indeed, sir. Yep, let's go a little bit old school bridge and that little fantastic stadium section at the end of the lap. 25 minutes worth of racing, of course, here in the Sim Cup. Want to give a quick shout out Paul Smith. Unfortunately, he can't be with you this afternoon. He basically has no voice, so you have to deal with me instead. Qualifying is underway for the Sim Cup as we speak. So these drivers, as ever, close qualifying, will have the opportunity to go as fast as they can, get themselves the grid spot. And what we've seen, Johnny, historically in this series is you want to be close to the front of the field, because we have seen a little bit of carnage at the start of these motor races. And I was thinking, actually, on the way to preparing for this broadcast, safety cars is one thing that we've had so far this season. Very fast turn one here. In fact, the first sector, one of the fastest that we'll go to all season long. Possibility for a safety car is high here today.
Yeah, definitely is, and especially going through those first few corners. So into cops at turn 1, as we are using the old bridge layout, generally there are a couple cars that will run wide and a lot of runoff there, but then going into Maggots and Beckett's, that's where it really gets shaky, especially in Formula Renaults. You're fast sweeping, and with the minimal braking zones here too, there's really a chance for high-speed incidents because of the nature of the layout at Silverstone. But It is what we love about the historic circuit, which used to be a World War II airport.
It was indeed, and of course converted just after that for use for, as we said, that first ever Formula One World Championship race. We're on board right now with Alex Sadler as he works himself through that stadium section into Brooklands. Next corner is that long Luffield corner. You always want to try and get on the power here earlier than you actually can. You've got to almost double take on the steering wheel, as we saw Alex Sadler did. When you do the second take on the steering wheel, that's when you can start hitting the noisy pedal. Sadler will come past the start-finish line. Scott McIntyre, the first one to go past the start-finish line. Sadler immediately up to provisional pole position. Then it's Juni Savasti. Alex Simpson making his debut then in the Formula Renault Sim Cup. Of course, we see him quite often in World Championship Series competition. As you see the left-hand side of your screen, the times are tickling through. But Sadler with the early advantage there by just under 1/10 of a second over Juni Savasti.
It's a good time from Alex Sadler. I'm very impressed by this young man. He was on my podcast during the week, and I got a chance to get to know him, and a very humble guy, just trying to improve day by day and learn from the best. And he's really improved his pace throughout the season. So I think he's sort of I don't want to say underrated, but sort of behind the scenes talent for the future.
Yeah, indeed. So, and we're going to be talking quite a lot about talent, actually, in terms of our World Championship Grand Prix Series coverage, because there's more changes, more moving, more shaking going on. We're now having a look, actually, at that second place driver of Juni Savasti. That 1/10 of a second, he's on his second lap now, so he does have another bite of the cherry as he comes down into the Abbey chicane. And that's one of the things about this new layout. I miss the Abbey chicane because it looks simple on paper, and then you get there, and actually it's very difficult, and you need that momentum to then lead you into bridge.
Yeah, it's a very weird corner as well. The camber doesn't help. It's blind going uphill on the exit. It's just, it's something that, of course, you're going to miss. It's the same with the old Hockenheim circuit. You miss all of that part, but the good thing is that we do keep about 80% of the rest of the layout as Silvasti now heads towards the line to complete this lap. He needs to improve by 1/10, and he does. So up into provisional pole for Juni Silvasti, who has been by far the best Formula Renault driver here on RaceSpot RaceDay all season.
Yeah, and you see the gap then, 48 1/1000ths of a second. Juni Savasti on his second lap, able to go faster. Jan Schutter, by the way, moving himself up into the 7th position on track for the time being. Alex Sadler, by the way, did go a little bit slower on his second lap, while Savasti did improve. Savasti, there you can see the time now just coming up on your screen, 1:41.052. Confirmation, new fastest lap for him. Alex Simpson remains in the 3rd place. We've got ourselves 15 drivers who have qualified here today. Very close gaps, actually, up and down your field as well. Having a look down towards the rear of your field as we go on board with the driver of Jana Brezina even, in the number 17 car, heading himself now out of Luffield, number 2. And it does look as though that all the way through we're going to see some close racing here today.
Yeah, definitely will. Good strong grid of 17 drivers out there in a 17-car field, all the way down to Scott Newton and Simone Maria Marceno, who are out on the racetrack but haven't set a competitive time, but those two should definitely be way up the order. So I'm just trying to see where Scott McIntyre is. Where is he? He's on the 3rd row so far provisionally, so a 42.0, 1 second off Juni Silvasti's pole position pace.
Yeah, we're going to go actually run on board for a couple of corners with Simone Maria Marceno even, as he now heads himself down in towards Stowe Corner. Let's ride a couple of corners on board of him. Away from our screens, actually, worth noting, times are tumbling all of a sudden. Alex Sadler, provisional pole position all of a sudden. Alex Simpson up into 2nd place here. So it's still going on here, Johnny, and all of a sudden, this grid has changed dramatically as we're now into that final lap of qualifying. But Savasti will have the opportunity to maybe get back one more lap. They will see him now, and it's worth noting, compared to Alex Simpson, the gap is 2 1/1000ths of a second. On the exit of Club Corner is Juni Savasti.
Yep, so brilliant competitive times come the end of the session. Only a couple minutes left as well. So here's Maria Marceno, who we were following before, and had a slight twitch through Stowe, slots himself up into the top 10. So in the 9th position so far for Maria Marceno, and Stowe was just, I mean, it's in my top 3 of motorsport corners in the whole world. And it goes to show the challenge it is, throwing the car into the corner, but not too much. And you really need the aero balance through there, and you need to balance everything with the right foot. The same here on the exit on towards the hangar straight.
Yeah, and also the hangar straightaway itself, of course, famous for the Nigel Mansell pass back in the 1980s. Stowe Corner, 1999. Michael Schumacher, that infamous crash where, of course, he broke his leg, put himself out of contention with the 99 championship. Savasti only able to manage the 2nd place on the grid, but he does move himself back ahead of Simpson. So Simpson now goes down into the 3rd place one more time. The top 3, though, do look as though they've got a clear advantage over the rest of the field. Govan Keeney moves himself up into 7th place in qualifying. Chris Lazovic, actually, he's just made a very good last effort. As Scott Newton up into 3rd. You talked about him a moment ago. Boom, there he is. Confetti moment.
Good stuff. So Scott Newton, Chris Lazarevic, the 2 Australians, in 3rd and 5th. I don't know what they're doing. Oh, it's only 9:45 at night, so I think it's not bedtime yet, but they are still, it's party time there. They probably haven't even woken up yet if they're a nightlifer. The point is, that was a really entertaining end to qualifying. Alex Sadler on pole, brilliant lap. And now Lazarevic is on the hangar straight, which apparently I've heard from Felipe Massa himself. He said you can actually smell the fish and chips in different restaurants here on the hangar straight.
It's true, especially during Grand Prix weekend. I mean, you've got to remember the way the campsites and everything else operate. It is a party atmosphere at Silverstone during the Grand Prix weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment's time, because checkered flag is out. That means it's now time to think about the start of this motor race. And here's your starting grid then for round number 6 of the Formula Renault Sim Cup. Alex Sadler, pole position. Eunice Savasti, 2nd place. Scott Newton in 3rd place. Alex Simpson in P number 4. Going to cycle through your grid then. As you say, we've got 17 drivers who are going to take the start for this motor race here today. It'll be 25 minutes that these drivers will be running for. We've had safety cars in the past here in the Formula Renault Sim Cup. Hopefully, we won't have one here today. And there's a top 10 very quickly in your championship standing. Simone Maria Marceno leads away in the championship. Alex Sadler is close behind him, 192 versus 185 points. Juni Savasti in 3rd. Keep an eye out on him, because he, when he races, is always exceptional. Cars taking them down to the grid. We'll be ready to go racing in just a moment's time here, Johnny. Let's hope there's no safety car.
No, definitely not. Let's hope for a clean start, and let's hope these guys are very clean into cops. We've seen some close starts in the past, especially in Formula 1. And we remember 08 when Webber had the absolute poor getaway on the front row, and then Kovalainen and Hamilton were so close on the exit there. And when you have open wheel cars and you collide into Stowe, it's not just a small twitch. You could be sent off right into the wall at high speeds and your race will be over.
Yeah, want to give a shout out, of course, to the entire Radio Le Mans team, Hindi and the gang. I tell you what, on weekends like this, they've got the best job in the world, but also one of the hardest jobs in the world. So good luck, all you guys doing commentary for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We are here, though, on RaceSpot RaceDay. We are about ready to get our first race of the day underway. It is the 6th round of the Formula Renault Sim Cup. It's live here from Silverstone on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. Lights now go on top of the iRacing gantry, and we get set for racing. 25 minutes. And we got a jump start there by Govan Keeney. He may well have to come on towards pit road for a black flag. He misinterpreted the start then. You can see immediately he does gain up some positions, but we do think he did jump the start and he will have to come down for a penalty. He jumped the start dramatically, actually.
Yep, and Scott Newton took to the grass on the inside of Cops, almost lost the car there. He demotes himself to 5th, but Alex Sadler and Silvasti battling for the lead.
Here we are then on board with the driver of Eunice Savasti as they exit now. Beckett, Maggots into Beckett. Beckett's into Chapel on board with Savasti as they work themselves down the hangar straightaway for the first time. This will be a key drafting opportunity. You'll see they're free wide at the back of your field. On the outside then, Savasti going for the race lead into Stowe Corner. You can make the pass work on the outside because of the way the track will then move and give yourself the opportunity. A bit of a wiggle there. Big wiggle. Off he goes. Savasti then throwing his race away almost very early. Somehow just holding on the run down into Club.
Oh my goodness, what a save there. And he's kept his composure because hey, he could find himself into P5 because Yalveza is right behind, ready to make a move here. So Lazarevic into third. Govankini, we know, will definitely serve a penalty. And I mean, wow, the controversy is the last thing Govankini needs. Probably the most controversial guy out there in the sim racing world. But he's currently, so the gap now with Alex Sadler is about a second, basically, to P2. So he's got a great advantage here to break the toe, which is so important, Will.
Yeah, because we will think at the end of this lap, we'll see Govankini come on towards pit road. He won't actually have to serve that penalty for 3 laps, so he might well stay out and try and see if he can pick up as much of an advantage as he can, so he comes out not too far from the rear of the field. In fact, that is exactly what he's done. There we are, lap number 1 in the books. And it is currently Sadler leading. Govankini in the second place, but he has got a penalty. Chris Lazarevic there, third place. Fourth place, Juni Savasti after holding on, after having a very near miss moment down at Stowe Corner on lap number 1. Fifth place, that goes to Alex Simpson. He loses a net of 1 place really in that first lap of the motor race. Scott Newton in 6th. Ollie Quacker there in P number 7. And Stuart McFadden rounding out your top 8. Good news is we had pretty much everyone survive the first lap. Chubby Azerni and Roel Hoban, however, didn't make it through that first lap.
No, they didn't. And Maria Marceno on the exit of, was it Beckett's, I think? Yes, it was. So on the exit of Beckett's, going in a Chapel, basically, he ran off the racetrack on the first lap. You might have seen that on the back of your picture. And then he was collected by one of the guys in the back of the pack. I'm not sure who. We'll have to see who has front wing damage, but he still continues, but he's not out of the race, if that makes sense. No,
as you'll see, P number 10, 11, they're scrapping it out a little bit as well. As all the way through the field, we've seen so often there are close battles going on. 2 Central Eastern European drivers, a 404 versus the 189 machine, as I head themselves into the Abbey chicane right now. As towards the front of your field then, Govankini staying in that second place. This actually is helping Chris Lazarevic a little bit there in that third place, because it's enabling him to just about stay with that toe, as Keeney will stay out once again and won't take that black flag penalty for a jump start.
Yeah, exactly. So picking up the toe, trying to gain lap time. It's 8/10 now though, so not really sure what he's going to gain from this. And he will be pretty much black flagged and disqualified if he doesn't take the penalty within his allocated time. So Govankini, who goes through Maggots and Beckett's right now, setting up the line into Chapel, clipping the apex as well. Just has to avoid any dirty air from Sadler in front. On towards the main straight now on Hangar Straight. And it's just such a wide straight, the Hangar Straight. I was expecting more 3-4 wide battles on the first lap, but I think that the field just started to spread out a little bit more, and they were very cautious. I don't want to say timid, but everybody was very cautious on the first lap in a way.
Yeah, they were. And I think part of that comes down to the fact that race control were very clear before the 5th round of the championship that some of the driving standards needed to have changed, because there were, in the first 4 rounds of the championship, quite a lot of very silly incidents. And the thing is as well, with driver jumping and starting into a tight corner into Cops, there could have been calamity. Very good heads-up driving by everyone to react instantaneously. Yes, 1 or 2 people did go off the racetrack, but for the most part, we've got everyone running really well. Scott Newton right now, just keeping an eye out on him, because he's just closed up, actually, to the rear of, and that is the driver of Alex Simpson, running in P number 5 right now. Alex Simpson, oh, Govankini's off.
Yep, he spun there. Rejoins now, where is that? That's behind Ollie Quacker, so he's all the way down in 7th. He's lost 5 positions. He might have lost it on the entrance, so that's into Priori, turn 14. A lot of drivers lose it there, and rightly so. He takes his penalty now, probably the best time to do so. Enters the pit lane, and will... very famous. Every time I think of this pit lane now, Will, I think of when Michael Schumacher ended the race here on the final lap.
1998, yeah. I will have to say one thing as well. I love you, Johnny. Love your pronunciations. It's Priory. We're in England here. We don't know Priori. We don't know what a Priori is. It's okay. On board with Scott Newton though, again versus Alex Simpson. We go back on board of him as they work themselves out of Chapel, down now towards Stowe Corner, and you'll see the draft actually isn't as big as what we thought it would be here today. And I think part of that is because of things like the crosswind, but also because of the fact that to attack the likes of Maggots, Beckett, and then later on in the lap, the likes of the Abbey Chicane, you do need quite a bit of downforce here.
Yeah, well, 11 km/h winds, which is what it's listed now. It's not that big of a deal. It's still something. You know, it's not zero, so it does have a little bit of an effect. And right now, Newton right behind Alex Simpson. And Alex, who is, we haven't seen him really in the World Championship, but he's here on race day. So hopefully this is a sign of popping onto the grid later on. Look at Newton through Abbey on the exit, under the bridge. It's important to see your line here. Visibility is low when you're right up the gearbox of the driver in front. This is where Govan Keeney went off the lap before, but Newton keeps it together. And now this is one of my favorite corner at Brooklands. And then through Luffield. You have to wait for the front end to bite. It's so easy to run wide onto this exit curb, and Scott Newton does. And uses all the width of the racetrack and begins another lap there. And we'll start off... hopefully, maybe making a move. I'd say his next option is into Stowe.
Yeah, just to let you know as well, Jan Schuter's moved himself up a place into P9. We cut away from that to show you this ongoing battle with Simpson versus Newton. Yeah. But that did happen. Schuter is now up into 9th place ahead of the number 189 car. And worth noting, actually, that P3, 4, and 5 had got close. Newton actually had a miserable run out of Chapel. That's going to cost him any opportunity of making a position up through that long hanger straightaway. So let's go back down your field a little bit. And this is, of course, Maria Marceno, who had himself some issues early on in the motor race lap number 1, falling down into the 11th place. Just comparing the lap times. Last time by, he was 2 seconds faster than the number 189 car just ahead of him. So we've got the thinking here that Maria Marceno is likely to be in the top 10 by the end of this lap.
Yeah, exactly. So optimism. It's always... moving on. I was going to say something, but there's no point to it. I do like some of the car numbers here today, though. I like Scott Newton 781, Vitakunis 189. I don't know what they like. I'd love to ask what they mean, though, because the drivers surely don't they choose their numbers?
Yes.
Maybe that's Scott Newton's hotel room of his first or something. No, let's not go into that. Here they go into Luffield now. With 16.5 remaining. Look at the run Newton has, but he just turned in too early. That's so difficult, and it really annoys you when you get Luffield wrong, because you think the front end's bitten, and you're like, I'm going to apply the throttle, but there's still another half a corner left. Yeah,
I was almost going to say you might have had to have eaten your words there, because Simpson wasn't very good through the gears down at the front straightaway into Copse Corner to start another lap here. But it ended up being there. Actually, Alex Simpson was okay. Here's Alex Sadler at the front of your field, though. He is absolutely driving away in this motor race right now. 2.9 seconds ahead of the field. And, well, that's gaps that we don't often actually see here in the Sim Cup. Normally, we expect the gaps to be quite a bit closer, actually, here. Yeah. You go.
Yeah, but look at Simpson and Newton. They're very close as well. The gaps, as you mentioned, it is close between P4 and 5, but definitely not for the lead. And I think Sadler was helped by the fact that Govan Keeney had split himself and the rest of the field. And that sort of broke the chain between Sadler and Zarovich. It's not Mario Kart. You don't get some sort of item box to reel you back into P1. So for those guys, they have to work for it. Newton is feisty, and he will surely make his way past Simpson. Have a go into Abbey's son. But he just really doesn't... I think he's being patient, which is good. I think Abbey's not really the best option for an overtake, but it is sometimes possible.
And you've also got to remember, for some of these drivers, championship implications in the back of their head. They'll be halfway through the season after this race is scored complete. And that means you've got to start be thinking big picture. You can't throw a race away with a maybe 50-50 move. You've got to be careful. You've got to line it up. Silverstone is a track where overtaking can be easy sometimes. It can be a premium in others. And a spec series like this, you know, if you get the runs right, it'll work for you, but the dirty air does play a factor, and that's what we're seeing a little bit here today. In your field, just to let you know, Maria Marceno did in fact move himself ahead of that 189 machine. Now he is about half a second behind young Shooter in the number 10 car as they'll cross the start-finish line once again. And you'll see the lap times last time by. Young Shooter did a 142.3. It was a 141.8, however, for Maria Marceno, and that includes passing another car.
Yeah, so quick times from Maria Marceno, who had that horrid first lap. And he's got just a sheer bit of daylight in front if he gets past Schreiter for P9. So it's only half a second behind now as they head towards really the hangar straight. Still keeping an eye out on the times between Silvestri, Simpson and Newton. This is that spin at the start. It's the first time this season, really, Will, we've seen Silvestri vulnerable to mistakes. And, you know, normally I always thought he'd only lose if he beat himself, but right now Sadler's just outpaced him, and Lazarevic in front is also setting some rapid times.
Yeah, and I think part of that is the fact that Silvestri not best in qualifying here today, but also that start, I think he upset himself, got his rhythm out early, and because he lost that time early, he struggled to really get himself back into the game ever since. It's worth noting though that it's still P2, 3, 4, 5 in this battle. So any two of these drivers could end up on the podium. There are going to be two very angry and upset people at the end of this motor race because they have all been pretty much flawless the entire race here as we are halfway through this motor race in about 20 seconds time. And I have to say, overall, driving standards here today has been fantastic. Now it's going to be a case though, can that number 7 Evolution Racing Team car actually withstand the pressure of 3 drivers, all of World Championship caliber, crawling up behind him?
Yep, exactly. So this is pressure on for Chris Lazarevic, but I think he will cope with it well right now. I don't really think he's holding up a train as much. It's just I mean, if he was holding up a train, Silvestri will be all over the back of his gearbox. So he's just holding his pace, biding his time. 42.1 last lap, though, compared to Sadler's 41.3. So definitely made a mistake there. And around the back is that Simpson and Newton spun around.
It is.
So an incident.
You go.
Let's have a look at the replay of that, hopefully, because that looked very abnormal. It must have been Newton going into the back of Simpson at Stowe.
Yeah, let's have a look then into Stowe Corner. It's 2 Apex Racing UK machines together. And it started off, I think that Alex Simpson started off getting a little bit loose into the corner. I want to get ourselves one more look at it if I can from on board with Scott Newton. Here we are, we're on board with him now. Coming down in towards Stowe Corner, it looks to be that Alex Simpson pushed a little bit wide. Newton put his car down into the inside line. Yeah, it seems to be, first of all, Alex Simpson started off just making a little bit of a half mistake, pushing off the racing line a tiny bit. Then Newton went down to the inside, 2 into 1 didn't work. There isn't really any damage, but now you're going to have to say that they are both out of the running for the podium here today. Newton is in P number 4. Alex Simpson has fallen down into P number 6 as a consequence. So even if Newton wanted to give the position back, he can't at the moment because Ollie Kwok is in the way.
Yep, and there was 10 kilometers an hour difference between them and on the apex of the corner, so there was some sort of issue there. It's very unclear because Simpson, it's either Simpson sort of slowed down. He didn't look like he had a dramatic moment, but it looked like he slowed down, or it was Newton carrying too much speed into the apex. So it was one of the two. I didn't have telemetry on me. We can't check lap after lap and see the differences, so we're just going to move on from that. But Quokka up into the top 5, and he hasn't just been gifted a top 5. He's worked his way up there with a good start, and now he's really just pounding the rock now, hoping to get a podium position if the Lazarevic and Silvestri in front collide.
Simone Maria Marceno down to the inside and pass on Schreiter. That was very easy, actually. I think that number 10 machine just thought, you know what, you have the position. I know in terms of lap times you have been consistently faster than me. Jan just falls in behind then in that number 10 DH Petronas Racing Team car. It's 10 minutes to go. So 15 minutes worth of racing already. Scored complete. Silvestri versus the number 7 machine, Chris there, as they'll come down into Priori, now in towards Luffield in just one moment's time. I'll take the mickey out of you for the next couple of minutes and I'll let it go.
No,
into Luffield they go then. And again, all of a sudden, Savasti stops looking behind, starts looking forward.
Yeah, good stuff. So just going to hope to get the slipstream here on this main straight into Copse. Copse is sometimes such a difficult corner because just releasing the throttle, trying to clip the apex. Sometimes you turn in too early, so your turning point is most valuable into Copse 2. And the left-hand side tires on this racetrack take such a beating into Copse, Stowe, and when the new section is out as well, and hopefully iRacing get that laser scan too, into when you enter the new section there. So instead of turning left into Abbey, you turn right into the new section, and again, those left-hand side tires at Silverstone just take a huge beating.
Just want to tell you one thing. Scott Newton, by the way, did actually fall behind Crocker and Simpson. As I was saying, that it would be difficult for him to give the position back because there was a car in the way. Well, he just let them pass, and he's allowed Alex Simpson to go past as well. So sportsmanship then from Scott Newton, allowing his teammate, and of course in Apex Racing UK we know, he spins it around actually, so there might be something more difficult on that car. I was thinking he was going to let them drive a pass, but it looks like he just lost it all by himself on the exit of Stowe Corner. It's just that we call this racetrack flat. There is a tiny little gradient as you go on the exit of Stowe Corner into Club. Just seemed to lose it as he was working himself through the gears there.
And just to, so that might be the third lap in a row he's lost it at Stowe, because we heard that he let Alex Simpson through at Stowe, but he's also had a moment where he went off the racetrack, so I'm not sure what happened there, but 3 laps in a row he's just lost his confidence completely at that corner now. So something's gone wrong for him, and the car is just not adhering to what he wants out of it, and it's just so difficult because you trust the car. You've been testing for, I mean, it's been a month now since the last round if you've been focusing on this round only, but you turn in the car, you expect it to stay on the racetrack and stick to the tarmac, but sometimes the tires, with one spin, the tires are completely out of temperature and they get ruined, as Quirker and Simpson now alongside each other in this battle.
Yeah, let's go and have a look at that one then as they head themselves towards Maggot, and Simpson stays behind. Quirker then in the number 11 machine is withstanding the pressure from Simpson. Simpson, of course, World Championship licensed driver, has been for many, many years now. On the exit of Chapel towards Stowe Corner, they come again. Alex Simpson will get himself the run. He should be able to go down to the inside. Quokka will give him the racing line down into the corner. Simpson up into P number 4. And that actually didn't look too difficult in the end. Quokka pushing wide on the exit of Stowe Corner. I do need to actually correct myself. It was Newton pushing wide at Stowe Corner, which caused him to spin the same way, actually, that Quokka pushed wide on the exit of Stowe Corner. Quokka was able to keep it, though, on the racetrack.
Yep, and this is a good little scrap for P4 here. So good stuff between these two. Lazarevic and Savasti also scrapping away there for that second place. So those two pretty much will be on the podium. Alex Sadler looks like he's got one hand on the trophy here, but you never know in the final laps, especially with inexperience, whether or not you can maintain the lead or not. So that's something where he's going to have to just keep his composure to complete this race. McFadden 6th, Brezina 7th. Maria Marceno, after his first lap drama, has climbed his way up into 8th, so only 21 seconds off the lead considering all the drama he's had. I reckon that's a pretty good result.
And he's a second faster than the two drivers in front of him, so Maria Marceno has the opportunity to actually try and get himself up into the top 6 here with just under 6 minutes remaining in this event, and lap times coming up once again. 1:42.2 then, 1:42.3 almost for Jan Brezina in the number 17 car, 1:41.676 for Maria Marceno, but you just saw him have to do a double jab really into Copse Corner because he is now into that dirty air, a little bit smoother through Maggot, and Brezina actually loses quite a lot of time through Beckett, and that shows you how bad dirty air can be. Maria Marceno likely to capitalize on this on the run down into Stowe Corner, but the thing is, Brezina also now has that toe from the driver ahead of him on the track, which is Stuart McFadden. So freeway battle all of a sudden now for P6, 7 and 8 on track, and this looks like it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yep, definitely. You spoke about the double jab too, very much like Sebastian Vettel, who sort of does that into corners when he steers in, and that's one of the keys to Silverstone as this battle still continues, is you really need to have responsive turn in, and I think that's where Scott Newton suffered in terms of confidence. His car just wouldn't turn into Stowe, and that's one of the biggest keys to lap time here.
Yeah, McFadden Running on board with him, currently P number 6. Withstanding the pressure from Brezina. Of course, Brezina himself is under a lot of pressure right now from Mario Marceno, as just a little bit of brake smoke coming up as the drivers work themselves through Priory and Brooklands once again. Now down into that double apex right-hander of Luffield, and a big lunge down to the inside there for Mario Marceno. He wanted that position. They're going to be side by side in the exit of Luffield, because if you take such a tight angle through that corner, it's very hard to get on the power early. Mario Marceno cannot make the move stick then. Will he have another shot into Cop's corner? He's going to be brave if he does so. He runs into the rear of him almost and gets some front wing damage.
Man, that was close. It was smart, though, trying to go up the inside of Luffield, because remember, he's going to break the toe now from Brezina, so that's important. But look at Jan Schwitter now. Forgot that he was in this fight, but we saw him at the back of the picture, and now he's all over the back of Marceno.
So here we are. Schwitter's back into this one. Of course, it was only a couple of laps ago that Schwitter allowed almost Maria Marceno to take the racing line into Stowe Corner, but they're side by side once again. Schwitter's smelling blood. He says, actually, you know what? I'll have that position back now. You've got some front wing damage. I'll go and try and chase Jan Brezina et al. For P number 7 and 6 on the racetrack. So we've got it's down to a three-way battle, actually, because McFadden has pulled out a 1 second advantage over the likes of Brezina, Schwitter, Maria Marceno et al. 3 minutes remaining in this event. This is the best battle we've got going on. We have got to keep half an eye on this P2, P3 battle, however, because Silvasti is not allowing the number 7 machine to really pull away with this one.
Yep, definitely not. As they all continue. Wow, Maria Marceno went loose on the Exeter Bridge, keeping an eye on that. But Silvasti, as you mentioned, the story of this race is that he can't get past Chris Lazarevic, who started the race from 5th, and Chris is now up into the 2nd position, although they're 6 seconds behind a man named Alex Sadler, who is a couple of laps away from his first victory this season. And I think really at this stage of the race, there's nothing really to manage. Brake wear at this circuit, when I saw the brake dust kicking up before, that's just very weird. You normally don't see anything to do with brakes at Silverstone.
Indeed so. As we're just having a look then, back in your pack that we've been talking about, and Schwitter has been able to close up to Brezina, but not by much. Brezina, in fact, has done a better job of catching back up to the rear of Stuart McFadden. This battle for P6 on track as we come down to 2-minute warning then. 2 minutes of this motor race to go, and McFadden actually gets a good run out the corner. It's Brezina who's going to struggle as they work themselves down the hanger straightaway right now, because Schwitter is going to go down to the inside. That is 2 cars in the space of a handful of laps. He's gone down to the inside of a driver into Stowe Corner, and again Schwitter manages to make it work. Move Schwitter now up into P number 7. That is the definition of a recovery drive.
Yeah, it's like a Leroy Jenkins sort of thing right now. Everyone's afraid to make their way past, but Schwitter's is coming through, ready to go. And he's next on his list, of course, is Stuart McFadden, and that would pretty much be it, because Ollie Quirker's 4.5 seconds in front. So this is a great sort of mini self-victory for Jan Schwitter if he can get past Stuart McFadden. For the final time, Alex Sadler will cross the line to begin the final lap.
Yeah, as we go on board then with Eunice Savasti, this will be the final lap of the motor race, because there's 1 minute remaining on the play clock, so the white flag will come out as these drivers are pretty much working themselves into Club Corner. Alex Sadler leads by 6 seconds over the battle that we've got going on for P2 and 3 right now. Number 7 machine with a half-second advantage over Eunice Savasti, and the thing is, Sebasti's going to have to nail this sequence of corners, get a good run out of Chapel, which he doesn't really do. You've now got to say that Silvasti hasn't got a real opportunity to make a pass on this final lap of the motor race, because at half a second back, and this being the key overtaking opportunity on track, it will now take an incident for Lazarevic to really mean that Silvasti can get back into the game. Schwitter versus McFadden, we said, well, there's the opportunity. Let's try and make it. 3 laps, 3 drivers past. Jan Schwitter going for driver of the day here. He's going to have to go to the outside this time by. It's okay, he can still pass on the outside into Stowe Corner, but will he be able to make it work? He's pinching him down a little bit. As they come out of the corner, the run down into Club will now favour Schwitter, as the white flag is now indeed out. Schwitter has himself the line, and it was a bit of a mistake there by McFadden, tried turning into the corner. couldn't actually make the line without hitting Streeter. Streeter now up into P6. Let's go back to Alex Sadler, though, because now he's got himself one more corner to go in what has been a spectacular Sim Cup race here today. Lots of fighting, lots of battling, lots of overtaking. Unless your name is Alex Sadler, he has led from lights going out here today all the way to the checkered flag. Alex Sadler wins round number 6 of the Formula Renault Sim Cup for Blue Flag Racing. Second place, that is going to go to that number 7 machine of Chris Lazarevich. I'm going to get it right at some point. Eunice Sebasti then, third place. Alex Simpson, P number 4. P number 5 will go to Ollie Quokka. Stuart McFadden will, as we say, have to settle for P number 7 because of the fact that Jan Streeter was able to make up 3 places over 3 drivers in 3 laps down in towards Stowe Corner. Fantastic race here today, Johnny.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. It's Chris Lazarevich, Will.
I'm going to get it right. It's because I don't normally do commentary for this series.
How do you pronounce it? Priori? No, I'm joking. So it's a brilliant race anyway. Back to the actual event. And Silvasti, in the end, he was trying to attempt to move at Chris Lazarevich into that final corner at Luffield. Well, that is technically the final corner. Woodcott's just a full throttle right-hander. But he went for the outside, had to adjust, and he almost collected Chris. So something to maybe look at later on. But that was a good little scrap towards the end of the event. A good job from Alex Simpson, who we haven't seen in a while, but just having some fun out there and claiming a 4th position. I have to say, though, finally, his hats off to Jan Streeter. Impressive final few laps.
Indeed so. Results. Alex Sadler winning by 6.4 seconds over Chris Lazarevich. Yoni Sebasti in 3rd place. Alex Simpson in 4th. Alex Simpson also with the fastest lap of the day. Ollie Quokka, P number 5, Jan Streeter, P6. Stuart McFadden in 7th, Jan Brezina in 8th, Scott Newton in 9th, then the number 189 machine, rounding out your top 10. Not even going to try and pronounce that one, do apologise. But coming home in P number 10. Next, got yourselves Christian Bugg in 11th, Scott McIntyre in 12th, Carlos Yalveza in 13th, 14th place is Simone Maria Marceno, and Raul Huben rounding out your top 15. We had ourselves 2 retirees, Govan Keeney. We saw him, of course, jumping the star and then getting himself an incident as he was about to come in towards pit road, out of the motor race 9 laps down, and Tobias Zerny out of the race also on lap number 1. Let's step aside for a moment then here on our coverage of RaceSpot Race Day here on iRacing Live, and when we come back, we'll start thinking more about the World Championship Grand Prix Series and also start thinking about round number 6 of the RaceSpot Super Cup. So don't go anywhere, because we will be back in a few minutes' time.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
iRacing. You wanted the best, you got them for a breast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Hey guys, Christopher Bell here. As you guys know, iRacing is coming out with dirt and it's been a long time coming. So I'm here today to kind of show you around the sprint cars and hopefully give you some insight for whenever you first drive it. So here we are at Williams Grove, gonna go out and make a couple laps in the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on default setup with a gear change to a 522. As we roll out of the pits, you guys might notice that the car wants to pull left and you have to hold the steering wheel right to go straight. That's normal for a sprint car because you have so much stagger, it's always trying to turn the car left. Once you get up to speed, that goes away. Going down the straightaways, Williams Grove has really long straightaways and really tight corners. The big wings on the sprint cars, it always wants to pull you left into the corner, so it doesn't take much steering wheel input to get the car into the corner. A big key for the wing sprint cars is that they always like to go straight. They don't like to be too sideways. So the less steering wheel input you can have and the straighter you can keep the car, the faster you'll go. As the track slickens off, you'll be able to play with the setup to get the car driving even straighter yet. And that's a couple laps around Williams Grove. So here we are at Eldora Speedway. I'm on baseline setup with a gear change to a 511. As we roll out at Eldora Speedway, one thing that you'll notice is that the corners are really sweeping and it's almost a circular shape. The big thing about Eldora is just keeping that steering wheel straight. The straighter you keep the wheel and the less steering input that you give the car, the faster you'll go. The fast line around Eldora will be right around the inside wall in the corners and then with a big arc towards the outside walls down the straightaways. Then once the track slicks off, you'll be able to follow the groove up towards the outside wall, where the famous Eldora High Line comes into play. So now we're at Volusia Speedway Park with the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on baseline setup with a 511 gear, the same as what we ran at Eldora. Whenever you roll out on the racetrack, you'll notice that Volusia is similar to Eldora. They have long sweeping corners, and it's kind of circular in shape. At Volusia, whenever the track is fast, you'll want to be right down against the concrete wall in the corners with a nice big arc down the straightaway. Whenever the track starts to slicken up, you'll be able to follow the groove up higher and higher. Whenever you get into turns 3 and 4 though, the groove might get up onto the shelf, which is the flatter section of the racetrack, and then it becomes very difficult to exit turn 4 without getting into the wall. And that's just one of the characteristics of Volusia Speedway Park. Hope you guys have fun.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpot TV, RaceSpot Race Day. We've just had ourselves a fantastic Formula Renault Sim Cup event, Johnny, and well, you've got to give these guys credit. I mean, overall, fantastic racing up and down the field, lots of good battles. Yeah, we had one or two little incidents, but for the most part, fantastic race.
Yeah, definitely will. So good to see the talent out there increasing year by year in sim racing. And I brought up a topic recently where the mold of sim races from 10 years ago was always hot lap, hot lap, hot lap. Whereas now everybody growing up realize that race pace and consistency and sort of being a bit classy in the way you drive is the way to go. And that's the mold of sim races we have. And it resembles now world champion of Martin Kroenke.
It does indeed. So that was a look at the start, and I just wanted to focus on that one for a moment because you'll see that Govan Keeney actually, I think it was only about half a second before those lights actually went out. And that's one of those things you sometimes anticipate the start to these events, Johnny. You think, okay, the lights have got to go at some point, and then either it's just, you get off the clutch pedal a tiny bit too early, you anticipate the start wrong, but what you end up doing is throwing a motor race away, potentially.
Yeah, you never want to jump start. I mean, you should never be guessing the start, and you should really never be nervous when the lights come out. But it's a natural human trait. It's you're sitting there, you're waiting, and I think that's a big mental key. Is just what do you do when you're waiting? Do you just do you think about things too much, or are you ready to go? Are you confident? And it's a whole lot of things. And I think the biggest key to a race start from my perspective as a driver is preparation is confidence and experience is confidence. So if you practice your starts and you do it with your teammates and other people, and you start having 5-car starts and you start doing that kind of stuff, that's your preparation and your experience of a lot of races, such as a guy like Alex Simpson out there on the grid, somebody who won't be too nervous on a grid. Although you say that, you still have very fast drivers and world champions who still have shaky legs in the start of races.
Just to let you know, Maria Marceno, we saw that he had an incident on lap number 1. It was Scott McIntyre, actually, who he ended up actually having that incident with. So just going to show you one more look then of that start from on board. There we are, on board with Scott McIntyre now. So what you'll see, and we're going to pause it for you about now, you start seeing some smoke coming up. There's Maria Marceno, right-hand side of your screen, going off track. Well, there's only one way he can come back on. And all of a sudden, he's there. And Scott McIntyre has literally no way of slowing down in time to avoid hitting that driver. So the number 6 machine losing out big time there, that TNT racing car.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is in racing. So nothing else to say. Just have to move on and deal with it. You know, there's nothing else you can do.
Yep, so we are waiting for track, everything to be ready for the RaceSpot TV Super Cup. That will be coming to you in about 5-10 minutes time here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. And then, of course, we got ourselves coverage of the 6th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And our big question really is, Johnny, who can stop Martin Kroenke?
Yeah, that's what we're all looking at, because we know Gregor Hutu sometimes looks strong. Bonahas is, well, I think he could show an improvement in his pace. So luckily the pressures, I mean, this is an argument we always have, Will, but I think right now he's a bit behind the scenes. So it's a good chance for him to release the pressure. Graham Carroll has shown some potential. Alexei Siakala, I think if he qualifies on pole, he can sustain some good pace, although he's always caught up in some sort of issue. Ollie Pakala's had qualifying struggles all season. Yeah, I mean, who else do we look at? We look at guys like Frank Schotthorst, Backham, Bullock Bussey. There's many other names, but I don't want to forget anybody. Mitchell de Jong too, which we shouldn't forget. Last round was very close. 7/10 at the line between Kroenke and de Jong. I reckon somebody will knock him off the top step of the podium sometime this season.
And of course, it was it was about a year ago, shall we say, of course, that we had ourselves the moment when Gregor Hutu lost the race here at Silverstone by running out of fuel. That will be something we'll be talking about quite heavily in a few moments' time. Let's step aside then for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Get yourselves ready for the RaceSpot TV Super Cup that will be coming to you in just about 2 minutes' time here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
The NASCAR Beginner for Series powered by iRacing is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead of Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
Back.
Welcome now, ladies and gentlemen, to the Super Cup. Here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live, you heard Johnny say he's back. We're back for the second of our 3 races this afternoon, of course, that culminate in the 6th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, where the question is going to be, can anyone beat Martin Kroenke once again? We've been talking about it all season long. We're going to be talking about it again here today. So let's now start thinking about the Super Cup. Practice is going on as we speak, Johnny. So we've got a long time to start thinking about the drivers of the Super Cup because, well, we're going to see practice, we're going to see qualifying and the race here today.
I'm sick of thinking. Thinking sometimes is not good. You're just going to go out there and drive and do your stuff. You know, I've always questioned this. You've had a month since the last round, and we still have to hold a practice session?
I don't know the track conditions.
Touche. Yeah, there we go. My speechless words is your answer. Good comeback. You're right back in it. I'm stepping back in. You know, I do like the Porsche Super Cups this season. Everything's gone well. The one thing I do want to say is I hope our sort of strictness and sort of just telling the guys to be a little bit easy on race day hopefully doesn't change the flair and the creativity these guys come up with in terms of overtakes.
Yeah, and I would say as well that the Super Cup has always had spectacular racing. In fact, the car is designed almost to do that. I mean, I was, for example, looking at the Porsche Carrera Cup over at Le Mans this morning. I mean, that was crazy racing. And actually what you then do is you have a look at these 911s, and it's even crazier. We're here, as we say, at Silverstone. 30 minutes worth of racing, and actually this car is designed pretty much for a track just like this.
Yeah, definitely is. So you're looking at a circuit where I mean, there's minimal braking zones, so overtaking, you know, in a car that has longer braking zones, you want a circuit like that. But going into the Abbey Chicane, for example, is actually an overtaking spot compared to when you're in an open wheel car with lots of downforce where they can fling into that chicane now, which Richard Gaffensu is coming through at the moment. A very small grid out here today. Hopefully a few extra drivers come in the next few minutes.
Yeah, indeed so. As we just have a look then at scenic Silverstone, as we show you then the championship standings to date. As Joni Heikkinen currently leads the way in the championship, 195 points. Compare that to 184 for David Williams. Mario Bertolotti then third place, Klaus Kivikas in fourth, Jared Filsell running out your top 5. Notice that long runway. We talk about the fact that Silverstone was once upon a time an airport. You want to know something interesting, Johnny?
Yes. please.
During the British Grand Prix weekend, Silverstone actually becomes one of the busiest airports in the world. Because basically the rich and famous, they're not going to drive on, well, what used to be a single lane track basically down towards Silverstone, or even now it's a dual carriageway. They don't be stuck on traffic. Helicopters are the way if you're the rich and famous heading yourself to the British Grand Prix.
Ah, interesting. Is it more interesting than the fact that you can smell fish and chips on the Hangar Straight? And can I take credit for that? I submitted that question and I got Felipe Massa to answer it. So I thought I'd give it. It's called humble brag. I just did it.
I would say one thing though. I would say that it's not real fish and chips. That's the only issue. It's the kind of campsite equivalent of fish and chips. And anyone who's British, who's ever been to any festival, sporting event, they call it. It's fish and chips by name. If you are from another country and you go and have it, you will say, I've had fish and chips. It's not fish and chips if you're British, because it's got to come out of a hot and sweaty room, basically served on newspaper or the white paper, because we're not allowed to use newspaper anymore. That's the fish and chips you get. So Felipe Massa, I'll give him credit. He was smelling, the idea of battered fish and something akin to chips.
Oh, Cletus chips or something.
Yeah.
Named after... Oh, man. All right, we're going into territories I don't want to delve into today. But regardless, anyway, just to...
Hey, this level of in-depth banter is the sort of stuff the guys from the 24 Hours of Le Mans will be doing about hour 18. We're just preparing all the viewers right now.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing our stuff. I do like that guy. I've never heard of his name before. Sindre Setsas. I knew he was joining the grid, but that guy's just... there's so many S's in that name. I just think of Slytherin first of all, from the Harry Potter series. Hopefully he races out well though. He's from Scandinavia, and a name we haven't seen on the grid at the moment on RaceSpot RaceDay.
Always good when we have events like RaceSpot RaceDay, 24-hour race, our primetime event, to really see new drivers coming in, because I'll be nice, I've been covering the likes of Gregor Houtu, Martin Cronkey, Alex Simpson, Isaac Price, these drivers in the World Championship Grand Prix Series for 5 years now. It's always nice to see new drivers, because you may never see them in the World Championship Series. Doesn't mean they're a bad driver. They're actually fantastic at what they drive. It's just not on the road to a World Championship Series in terms of its direct lineage.
Yeah, correct. So, there's nothing to add to that. Exactly correct. Looking out throughout the field as well, David Williams, good to see him here as well, racing, a guy who's very well respected and great teacher out there in the sim racing world. And he also admits as well, being a teacher and being a learner, he's also learning at the same time, learning how to teach. And that's a very underrated skill to have. So, good to see him keep on continuing away, supporting the community. Scott Lanark as well, another Australian who, it's a Saturday night, man. It's 10:30 p.m. He's probably just come home from the pub. Decided to have a...
If you come home from the pub at 10:30, you're doing it wrong. You're supposed to go out to the pub at 10:30 at night.
No, so that's my point. He came back for the race. He's going to go back out afterwards, and that's his night out. Or he's got an 8 p.m. Saturday night wife who is so good he doesn't go out at all.
Yes. And of course, if you are going to go out, don't drink and come back in sim race. I want to give a quick shout out, by the way, to my man Scott Dixon. He had that horrific crash in the Indy 500, of course, walked away with just minor ankle injuries. He's actually running the 24 Hours of Le Mans this weekend, and he actually can't left foot brake because of the way that 4GT set up. He has to in IndyCar, of course, but he's going to have to revert to right foot braking for a 24-hour race here today.
Yeah, well, isn't that how you should be driving anyway? So left foot brake, I'm always a big supporter of left foot braking. I think it's easier, if you're going to make driving easier, just get an auto car and left foot braking. But I think you can go faster with left foot braking for sure. It minimizes the time between swinging your right foot over from the throttle to the brake. So, it's always your definite preference for me anyway. Something that you wouldn't be doing in the Porsche 911's left foot braking. Well, you can, but it wouldn't really work. No. If you're swinging your right foot over your left, you're doing it wrong. This ain't the board a game of Twister.
Yeah, indeed. So just having a look then as Klaus Kivikas is on track. Let's ride a couple of corners on board with him then in that VRS Coanda SimSport machine. Let's give you a little bit of RaceSpot TV fan mode. That's the difficult part of the racetrack. I'm going to call that the Maggots-Beckett's complex. Of course, Chapel at the end, and so many people, Johnny, forget about how important Chapel Corner is. I mean, so many people just classify the entire section as Beckett's. It's not. Maggots is the fast, first left-hand flick, then you slow it down into Beckett's. Chapel, that final left-hander at the end. Arguably, the most important part of that sequence, if you got the first 4 corners right, you can just throw away a second immediately if you don't hook up the apex to Chapel.
Yeah, I mean, so after Maggots and Beckett's, when you're braking for the first time into the left and then you swing right and then left again, so that's where Chapel is, onto the hangar straight, that braking zone at pretty much turn 5, that's the most difficult part. Because when you're in the McLaren MP430 later on, I know we're racing in the Porsches, but at least in that car, the drivers, it'll just be seamless. It'll be too easy through Maggots and Beckett's. It's really the braking zone and then the right-hand flick and not carrying too much understeer into the corner. And you really need the front-end grip. And at the same time, what's really underrated through that corner is the rear-end grip too, because without enough rear-end load, under braking, the car will just swing left in the braking zone and straight off into the wall. So you need to have enough of... the car needs to have enough capability to maintain the load.
4 minutes remaining then of practice before we head ourselves down to the qualification stage of this event. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, immediately, and we do mean immediately because our coverage has been a little bit delayed here in the RaceSpot TV Super Cup, immediately after the conclusion of this event, we will head you over to qualifying for the 6th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. So basically, you've got yourselves another 2.5, 3 hours worth of fantastic racing with us here this afternoon. And we know that many of you are going to be watching a certain other race taking place today. It's okay. You've got 2 monitors, you've got a monitor and a TV. Put us on side by side. You can watch that, you can watch us as well. Some of the best sim racing in the world, the greatest race in the world. Here today, one day on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live as well. We've now got ourselves, say, just under 4 minutes to go. Jenny Heikkinen currently leading the way in terms of this practice session, Johnny.
Yep, so there we go. And really a practice session that's meaningless unless somebody red flags the qualifying session, which won't happen, of course. So you're not going to be using these times for anything. But Heikkinen now begins another lap, and through cops he goes. And that's the difference between the Porsches, who need to actually apply the brakes, compared to the Formula Renaults, who just release the throttle. Yeah. Through cops.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in my life. It's really Heikkinen then, just to see. Many people take slightly different lines into the Maggots-Beckett's complex as well. Sometimes people do it to just try and keep the average speed up. Some people will try and have the highest entry speed as they possibly can. Mark McDonald right now is on track in the 216 Mobil 1 car. Go on board of him for a brief moment. 216 car from Illinois. And this is what I love about RaceSpot RaceDay as well. We have got drivers from Australasia, from Asia, from Europe, from North America and South America, all competing at the same time. You don't really get to see that diverse of a grid outside of the likes of the iRacing special events.
Yeah, exactly. So great to see. It's had a nice time, I'd say, in the world, and I'm surprised somebody from the US is actually racing at this time. It's in the ridiculous hours.
It's called coffee o'clock.
The coffee o'clock, yeah.
Well, it's Central Time, so they're 6 hours behind me right now. It's 7 a.m. in the morning, so yeah, coffee o'clock.
Yeah, unless he's got a house full of decafs, which it just nullifies the effect of having coffee in the first place, but that's a rant for another day. So good stuff from Mark McDonald, and I feel for him because while practice ends in a couple of minutes, racing at 3, 4 a.m. in the morning is not pleasant, and which is why I think you'll never see an Australian champion in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, because it's...
You've had drivers before, like Riley Preston. I mean, let's go back in the day. You had Ben Cornett and Luke McLean. Luke McLean's finished like top 4 in the championship before.
Luke McLean, I mean, what a name drop. He's been great. Problem with Luke McLean, though, a little bit caught up in a lot of incidents, we remember, probably because of a word starting with L, which I don't want to say.
N-E-N-G.
Yeah. Oh, no. What are you thinking of?
We'll talk about it when we're in commercial.
We'll talk about it later. Okay. So, Regardless, anyway, my point is that I think there have been some strong Australians, and don't forget other countries too, because the US, it's early hours of the morning if you're on the West Coast, so difficult for those guys too. And it's just about, you know, people think, why don't you just adjust your body clock? Well, what about people who have a job during the week where they have to go to sleep at 10 p.m. and then they can't just switch on and be alert and act like it's 3 p.m. when it's 1 a.m. in the morning and they're going through the first lap of a world championship race? Your mind doesn't work the same, and it's that's why I find it so impressive back in the 1950s and 1960s, Will, to keep the Le Mans theme, of how guys used to try to do that race on their own in the real world. Isaac Price is crazy enough to do it in a simulator. These guys used to do it in a real world, so incredible stuff. Yeah, fantastic stuff. Let's step aside for a moment then. Qualifying coming up when we come back here on RaceSpot Race Day.
Watch Ernie, go, go, go. Car right, car right, car right, car right. Watch, jam it. Get ready. Dude, more heads up in that. Jeez.
Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen?
Yeah! Push like hell. We gotta stay in front of these guys.
Both drivers on the push to pass. Contact in the pit lane.
All right, sexy. Let that eagle fly. What do I do? What happened? Push here. Push hard. Let's go get this guy. Car outside. Through behind you. Control. Clear outside. Good job. Just spun behind you. I don't know if you got him or not.
He got out of it so hard. Look at these guys are all over the back.
Full throttle.
IndyCar.
The in and out lap.
What's next?
Come and get the checkers, big boy. Oh, baby, that was good. Hit me. Inside, outside.
2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. See what's next.
It's qualifying time for the 6th round of the RaceSpot TV Super Cup here on RaceSpot TV, streaming live and iRacing Live. Will Vincent, Jonathan Simone. Want to give a quick shout out then to our partners. First of all, Esteban Balao's Track Cams for Gourmets. Also to And One Design, the official graphics partner of RaceSpot TV, and ATVO, the official graphics engine of RaceSpot TV. There you can see, left-hand side of your screen, track conditions. It's cool here today, 65 degrees Fahrenheit, wind speed 11 kilometers an hour. We'll be racing for 30 minutes around this track that is just a tad over 5 kilometers in length. And these drivers are now in qualifying mode. So, as ever, go like hell as fast as you can. Try and get yourself up to the top of the timing stands. And that is what these drivers are going to try and do now. They are on track. They are ready to go. Johnny, are you ready?
I'm always ready. Born ready. Here we go.
Well, you can see immediately we've had ourselves 2 minutes of this qualifying session scored, complete. And these drivers have just pretty much completed their outlap, which means that in a moment's time, they'll basically be heading themselves onto their first flying lap, if not already. Klaus Kivikas has just, in fact, started his first flying lap. We'll go on board with him. In fact, no, we're going to go on board with David Williams. I take that one back. As Williams there just navigating. Beckett on the exit now of Beckett. And he'll turn his attention to Chapel Corner. Then this long hanger straightaway. The chance to give yourself a quick breath before you come down into Stowe Corner. As we've been talking all day about the smell of fish and chips, well, you won't get it in a closed canopy car like this. But David Williams does push a little bit wide there through Stowe Corner.
Yep, and he picks it up, though, on the exit, so it doesn't ride too wide here. Breaking into Vale through turn number 9. Going through Club as well. And very easy to lose the car at Club, although the front end, you really start to understeer here. Pick up the throttle on the exit and then diagonal to set up the line into Abbey. Spot the apex here. If there was a bollard, it would really help into the Abbey chicane. second right there, and then under the bridge too. Important not to turn in too early here, because then you'll understeer out left. So you want to be able to turn in, but still be able to widen the line into turn 14 and then into Brooklands. Good stuff to avoid the anti-cut curbs, although you might get away with it in the Porsche. Final corner at Luffield. Again, running wide, running that sort of V line, and then picking up the throttle on the exit. So good stuff from him. The V line allows him to straighten the car up, gain the traction, and maximize the speed across the front stretch. Here he is across the line.
Yeah, and he will move himself to third. Johnny Heikkinen has the fastest time so far. Then Mario Bertolotti, second place. Jake McLoney has done himself a qualifying time. As you'll see now, Mark McDonald crossing the start-finish line, and he will put himself onto a flying lap, actually. So he's not actually started a flying lap yet. We've had the 182 machine, Michael Leityshoff, going into 6th place. We've got ourselves another 7-8 drivers on track at the same time right now. So it's that moment where we've got a slight indication of what's going on. We've got ourselves, though, more drivers ready to do their thing. There is Johnny Heikkinen even, as he now works himself in the exit of Chapel Corner once again. Current gap between himself and Bertolotti, 2 tenths per second, Johnny.
Yeah, good stuff. So good enough advantage, but the track conditions will improve as the session obviously improves too. And we saw that in Formula Renault. So the track will start to rubber in. And when practice started, it was very low rubber. So we're going to see the lap times decrease as this session progresses.
Let's ride on board then for a couple of corners with Johnny Heikkinen. Total of 9 drivers have now set themselves a qualifying time. Heikkinen about to complete another lap. Fastest time so far has been a 147.199 as he now exits Luffield to complete his second lap. Will he go faster, Johnny?
Well, let's see. Here he is across the line, hugging the inside through Woodcut. Across the line for Heikkinen. And 47.199 to beat only a 47.169. Oh, sorry, that was his practice time, excuse me. So no time set for Heikkinen there. He's going to begin another lap now. So either the lap was invalid or something's gone on there.
Yeah, we've got Jan Cornelius at the rear of, well, he's not actually set a time, so he is technically at the rear of the field right now. Number 69 car running himself through Bridge Corner into Priori. And then Brooklands coming up next for him. I'll stop now, I promise. As though you see, Neelish is slowing that car down. Talk about the V angle of attack into Luffield. Neelish taking a very tight line into Luffield, holding it tight all the way through the corner, then getting it, pouncing onto the accelerator on the exit of the corner. Number 69 car. He's going to post himself a lap time as he comes past the stripe. 3 minutes remaining. Yes, P number 5.
P number 5. That was a bit delayed, but we finally got the lap time in there, but he's quite a bit off. 7 tenths from Klaus Kivikas in front. And he may think, oh, look, I'm right behind Klaus Kivikas. I'm doing really well. Well, when he looks at the timing sheets, he'll be, wait, I've got a long way to go to creep my way past Kivikas and Williams, 2 very, very renowned racers in the sim racing community. And they're also currently being beaten by Heikkinen and Bertolotti, 2 other good names.
And the only 2 drivers not to have qualified yet are Jeremy Boutaloop. Doesn't look as though he's actually going to go out in qualifying. And Scott McIntyre, number 10 car. So McIntyre is on a lap right now. Just been having a look at Jake Maloney. There is the driver, Scott McIntyre. He's going to be close. He'll get a lap in here. There's 2 minutes of qualifying to go, but he can't put a foot wrong, otherwise he'll start at the rear of the field here.
Yeah. Well, Scott McIntyre, this is by far, just switch off, Will. Let's turn it off. I don't know if he's doing an outlap or something. This is by far the furthest thing from a good lap right now. So he's probably just warming things up or getting used to the car or something like that. But I've definitely seen better from Scott McIntyre. He's raced a lot better than that and now a lock up into Stowe. So probably time to switch off.
Yeah, as we saw that Klaus Kivikas moving up into third, David Williams into fourth, Jan Punilius still in P at number 5. We don't expect to see any more real changes in qualifying right now. There's Scott Larnach in the 9th place right now in the dual real timing 0-1-2 machine, as there is now 1 minute remaining of qualifications. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, immediately after our coverage of this end, we'll be taking you over to the 6th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series here on RaceSpot TV, as ever, streaming live on iRacing Live. As you saw Scott Larnach there, still in P number 9 in terms of qualifications. As McIntyre, well, let's go back to him. He's now on Luffield himself. As we say, he will just about make it back to the line in time. 35 seconds remaining in qualifying. Exits the final corner, which is technically Woodcock, right about now. And let's see where he goes. We don't expect him to move up, as Maloney, by the way, does move up into P number 6. Scott McIntyre does take time. No, he doesn't. So actually, we're not surprised.
Yeah, he's probably just getting used to the car, it looks like, because right now he's locking up in the corners. He's probably definitely looks like he's cramming in for the exam right now. It's not a good sign for him. Sindre sets us asking at the end of qualifying if somebody can give him an extra second. It's not that easy, buddy. You're just going to have to find it and work for it yourself, although I like his sense of humor as qualifying ends. And Heikkinen and Bertolotti on that front row. This is a powerful first 2 rows right now going into Cops. Looking forward to this race start.
Yeah, indeed. So, Joni Heikkinen, pole position. Mario Bertolotti then alongside him on that front row of the grid. Klaus Kivikas in third. David Williams, P number 4. Cycle on back. There's Jan Punilius versus Jake Maloney. That's actually going to be in itself a very interesting battle for P5. Sindre and Setstas there as well. P7 versus Mark McDonald, P number 8. They were very close in qualifying, separated by just 5 1/100ths of a second. And there's the remainder of your field then. Scott Larnach, Michal Leschov, and Richard Gafanik, and the number 13 car. As we are going to basically now have a couple of drivers who didn't qualify, starting at the rear of the field as well. We've got ourselves just about a minute before we will get those engines revving for 30 minutes here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. And as we've said already a couple of times, World Championship Grand Prix Series coverage will start immediately after we finish here on RaceSpot RaceDay. So now the drivers are getting ready. They're almost in position and ready to go here for what is going to be a very, very interesting race, albeit with a smaller field. But Johnny, we saw in the Super Cup that didn't matter.
Yep, doesn't matter. Quality is better than quantity. So let's see what happens here at the start. As I mentioned, into Cops, inside, outside doesn't matter. As long as your nose is in front and you maintain speed going into Maggots and Beckett's, you don't want to lose momentum here at the start. And most importantly, Will, you don't want a false start either, which is what we saw one of the drivers do earlier on in Formula Renault.
Yeah. Let's look from above then, as Joni Heikkinen takes his spot on the grid. Getting ready for 30 minutes of racing, as we said. Drivers are now lined up. Engines and revving. Let's get then the Super Cup underway. Green flag, here we go. Lots of wheel spin. Lots of defensive driving then going in towards turn number 1. Bertolotti tries to cover off the 2 commander cars as they work themselves in towards Cops Corner for the first time in this motor race. Although we do see actually Jan Cornelius. Oh, we've got a car spun around as well. That is Klaus Kivikas. So Kivikas now to the rear of the field. And we had a minor incident. Let's have a replay then and show you what happened to Klaus Kivikas coming in towards turn number 1. Here's a look. Is there contact? No, lost it all by himself there, Johnny.
Yeah, applied the throttle, cold tires, didn't work out too well for him. Probably got a bit intimidated by David Williams' rapid start. And David Williams was really hung out to dry on the outside. But there's the number 69 behind of Niehuis. Mark McDonald around the outside, battling away with Setsas. Oh, into the wall is one driver.
Who's off? Oh,
is that the 69?
It is. It is. There we can see. He's lost himself a number of positions, and a couple of big moments then on the opening lap of this motor race. As we'll go on board and have a look at Yoko Nunez, I'm wondering whether he either got contact coming into stow, which doesn't look likely at this stage from our cameras, or whether he just got loose on the run down into Club Corner. There he's, he gets himself loose on the curb on the exit of stow, just slams into the outside retaining wall into Club Corner, and that is going to pretty much put him out of this motor race.
Yeah, well, you say that. He's just got damage. We'll see if
it's side-on damage, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see if it hampers his ability anyway to race here later in a few fights. So he's got a mad scramble cars in front. Häkkinen leads from Bertolotti right now as they end the first lap, followed by David Williams, who had the rapid start. So it seemed anyway that Häkkinen and Williams got off the line the best, but they really maintained position. I mean, Williams was only promoted because of the fact that his teammate binned it all on his own. And now finally we have our Klaus Kivikas on the charge moment for the race. He's going to make his way through the field. Yeah, indeed. So let's have a look then. Joni Häkkinen leads the motor race. Mario Bertolotti just behind him. The gap between these two drivers is literally classified at 9/10, almost 1 second, as they work themselves down the hangar straight away again in towards Stowe Corner. And for Bertolotti, he's just got to try and keep with the toe as much as he possibly can as they work themselves on the second lap of the event. If he can do that, he might come back into it a little bit later on, but he's just got to try and keep going, because Williams actually has fallen back in turn to 1.1 seconds behind Bertolotti. So this field is going rather spread out a little bit early on in this event. Yeah, although big Mark McDonald is very big right now in Jake Maloney's mirrors. And going into Abbey, definitely an overtaking spot in the Porsche because of the longer braking distances. Here they go through bridge now. McDonald takes a tighter line here. Doesn't set himself up into Prairie that well. And they head towards Brooklands. It's just, you know, Brooklands is so good, especially with a new layout. I think Brooklands is all right on this layout, but the arena layout of this racetrack with Brooklands makes the corner even better, and I just love it. As Mark McDonald then on the exit of Luffield in towards Woodcott, as he is going to stay in line. And I think that's one of the things that in this, we saw this in the Super Cup, that the passing opportunities can be far between, but as Maloney just outbrakes himself into Cop's Corner, Mark McDonald did exactly the same there, pushing a little bit wide. Now this is actually going to allow the driver of Sindre Sestas to get right behind, as again, drivers pushing wide here. The cold temperature isn't helping a lot of people out here today. Now Blue Flag Racing number 18 machine going to try the outside line into Chapel. If he can nail this, of course, he's automatically got the inside line in towards Stowe Corner. He'll come back in for a bit of tow. Now we'll go down to the inside full time towards Stowe Corner. Move Sindre Sestas up into P number 5. No, cannot hold the inside line because Mark McDonald a little bit better on the outside line into Stowe. This is what we've been talking about all day, because now McDonald will have the inside line into Club. Good scrap here, and look at Lanark behind as well, having a look. Although it remains set stone and nobody moves position. So that was really surprising there. I thought Sindre had it, but now he has to really pounce on McDonald again. And that was the problem, is when you're all over the back of someone, the way McDonald was on Jake Maloney, you start to lose track of your braking zones. Visibility is decreased because you're looking at a face full of rear end. And it's just, excuse the pun there, Will. And yeah. So point is that you don't want to be making those mistakes into turn one at Cops, because you see what happened there. You would have lost that position. It's just going to be extremely difficult, in my opinion, in a car such as the Porsche, where you have longer braking distances, and that's the best way to make a pass. At a track like Silverstone, it makes it slightly more difficult. David Williams still in third place. He has closed the gap, though, over Mario Bertolotti. So as Häkkinen tries to pull away out front, Williams is keeping the pressure on in the number 1 machine in this field. Also worth noting, Klaus Kivikas, of course, trying to charge back through the field. I'd argue it's slightly harder to charge back through the field in the Super Cup compared to the Sim Cup, Johnny, because these cars behave rather differently.
And it's a lot harder to try and just chuck a car down the inside, and also you don't have as much of a speed differential coming into the corners quite often unless the driver ahead of you makes a more serious mistake.
Yeah, correct. So something they have to manage as well, and just makes this extra special. So for Klaus Kvyat now, back of trying to make a move on Mihail in front in the number 182 car. We should start sponsoring this drive right now from Kvyat, because he is going to make his way up the order, and this is going to be a memorable moment. Here is a quick take at Latyov, and makes his way through. That was easy. Just made his way through, and Mihail's all the way back there now, a second off in one corner.
I think Latyov just had a horrible entry into club, and that pushed him wide in the second part of the corner, and from then you're always going to struggle. It would actually at that point be better just allow a driver to go past while you sort out your own problems. And obviously, a bit of deficiency in the handling of that race car right now. Klaus Kvyat up into 9th place. Sindre Setstas versus Mark McDonald versus Jake Maloney. That one is still going on. And you've also got yourself Jan-Paul Nelius versus Scott Larnack. Of course, Nelius did get himself some damage. I thought that was going to put him on pit road. He has continued, but that car is clearly down on top speed a little bit. 149.9 for Larnack that last time by, 149.0. So 148.979 for Scott Larnack, 149.0 for Jan-Paul Nelius. To give you a little bit of an indication what players ahead of them, they are going anywhere between half a second and a second faster right now. So Nelius is actually the first of the drivers to set a 149. So he's actually one of the slowest drivers on track that last time by. We're on board of him.
Yeah, so through that corner he just went through, that's where his rear end damage now to the rear wing is going to really hamper him in the braking zone. So that's where you can easily just lose the car and it will fling through into no man's land, into the gravel. So he really has to be careful right now, especially into Stowe 2 on the exit where he initially binned it. Doesn't want to do the same.
And you notice there's not been well, there has been overtakes in this race. Mark McDonald's up 3 places. He's your biggest mover in your field. Jan-Paul Nelius, of course, is down 3 places. Klaus Kvyat is down 6. Reason for those of you just joining us, of course, Klaus Kvyat had himself that moment down on the exit of Copse Corner, lap number 1, turn number 1. How often do we talk about Klaus Kvyat making a mistake like that? Well, I say never, but we've been hearing more and more about the likes of him and Williams making mistakes in this series, and it shows just how hard these vehicles are to drive on.
They're a tough cookie to handle for sure. So it's just about, I mean, it begs to differ as well. Formula One is definitely is my favorite form of motor racing out there in terms of open wheelers, but those cars with lots of downforce, they're one challenge. Cars such as the Porsches, different challenge. Motorbikes, another challenge. So when you try to compare a WRC driver, for example, to your NASCAR drivers, to your endurance races, to open wheelers, you can't. They're all just good at what they do.
You've got the race of champions.
Yeah, and you used to have, actually, that's true. You also have, they used to have this Castrol sort of driver rankings thing.
Yeah.
I remember like 6 years ago. Who came up with that? I don't understand how that didn't make no sense at all sometimes.
I know exactly what you mean, and that's to be fair. It's very hard to judge the competency of one driver from one series to another. I mean, again, you look at the likes of Fernando Alonso when he went over to IndyCar to run the Indy 500, and even that is only a small snapshot of what drivers in the Verizon IndyCar series have to do. Look at the likes of Kimi Räikkönen when he went over to run the NASCAR Nationwide series, as it was known back then. It's one of those things that can be very difficult. You might have one of the best race drivers in the world, but they don't always adapt when you put them into a different challenge. On the flip side of that, of course, Mark Webber running in Porsche in the Le Mans 24 Hours shows that sometimes it is transferable, because at the end of the day, unless you go onto a bike, Johnny, the key parts of it remain. You know, you've got an accelerator on one side of the car, you've got a brake on the other, and you've got a steering wheel somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, well, there's all this talk about sports analytics, and like baseball is probably the best sport for analytics out there, but motor racing is probably one of the worst sports you can use stats for. Like, yeah, you can track race wins and results and stuff, but you know how fast a driver is through turn 7. I'm getting confused just speaking about it. So, racing is politics, skill, and a lot more as well, which takes a whole lecture to explain. I don't think we have the time for that with 19 minutes remaining.
I thought you were going to start quoting me that Fort Minor song, and there we go. We are still having a look, by the way. Jake Maloney versus Mark McDonald. This is P4, P5 on track. And yeah, it is a smaller field here today. We did have some difficulties in getting this race going. So that is part of the reason why we have a smaller field. Bjorn Cornelius having himself his second incident of the day. So we're going to show you a replay of that one for you. In fact, he's brought that car towards pit road as a consequence. I was going to say, I did think it was going to be a matter of time because, of course, you overuse the tyres sometimes. If you get damage to the side of the car, to the rear of the car, even though you can still drive it, you start abusing the tyres more. And again, yeah, just lost it completely on the exit off Luffield. Doesn't hit anything, but shows that those tyres, you know, taking a lot of strain right now.
Yeah, and he's pitted too, so rightly so. Replace the tyres, see if you can repair any damage to that car too, and if the crew can do something and win crew of the day or of some sort. And focusing back on to the top three, David Williams now close to Bertolotti. And as Heikkinen has a moment at front at the exit of Club, now Williams could have a shot here into the Abbey chicane.
Worth noting, by the way, Heikkinen hasn't really pulled away after that first lap. It's still 1.2 seconds, so in fact, it's now less than a second, so there is no breathing for Joni Heikkinen in that number 6 machine. Mario Bertolotti, we know how accomplished this driver is. He is fantastic to watch, and you know when he's in charge mode, there are very few people who can actually stop him. And David Williams as well, of course. I'd say of the three, David Williams is that kind of calm, level-headed driver who all of a sudden, though, will just find a way past because he's analysing every weakness that Bertolotti has right now.
He's a smart guy, David Williams, so you know, being smart's one thing, skill is another. You can be very smart and be a good driver coach and all this, but you know, if he had the speed, he would have probably qualified on pole and been screaming away. So now the good thing is that he's at least equal on pace, it seems, with Heikkinen and Bertolotti in front. And he's got a good opportunity right now to take a victory here. So you mentioned the pressure from Heikkinen. We had that small moment coming out of Vale and Club. And that goes to show, I mean, that four-wheel drift right there really showed the pressure he's on right now.
We saw the first use, I think, of the chrome horn down into Copse Corner. Mark McDonald just giving a little bit of a love tap to Jake Maloney. Can't really capitalise, though, as they come down into Stowe Corner on what is their 8th lap of this race already. As Mark McDonald there, he actually gets a better run out of Stowe Corner. Could get himself the opportunity to look one way or another into Club, but no. He actually, you know what, if he'd actually tried to go down the inside, he would have been alongside into the corner there. And that's one of those times that sometimes drivers, they wait almost too long for that opportunity.
Yeah, correct. So you just got to get it done as quick as possible, but they keep battling here. Maloney, McDonald sets us into Abbey. Kivikas behind as well, made his way up into P7, so he was in a fight with Scott Lanark. They're so close here on the Exeter Bridge. It reminds me of any British touring car race going through Bridge. Brings back good memories. Up the inside goes McDonald on Maloney, and that's always going to end in heartbreak. And Maloney off into the gravel. You can see the smoke kicking up into the air too, and he's going to rejoin Will, I think, just in between here, Kivikas and Lanark.
So from the flip side of talking about waiting too long for an opportunity, well, he did try and go down the inside into Bridge Corner, and that's often the case. There are two different lines into Bridge Corner. The two kind of came into one at the same time. Let's get another look then. This is from the Abbey chicane. So all is okay through here, but all we want to do is almost pause the tape as they exit Bridge Corner here. And we'll just show it to you as we'll play it up again. Two different lines, and what you saw, Mark McDonald trying to come and take that inside line. He's not alongside of the point that they come into the corner, but then he dives down to the inside into Priory, and I honestly think more than anything else, Jake Maloney didn't see him coming.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't blame Maloney. The line was his. Yeah, the line was his. I know you didn't. I was just saying I wouldn't either. And McDonald went for it. It's not the first time someone's tried to attempt an overtake there.
Got to interrupt you, of course. Heikkinen's pitted as well. So something's happened with Heikkinen because he's now all the way down in P number 8 on track.
Yeah, so we made a pit stop. 4.2 seconds as well. So either that's a tactical thing or something's gone wrong for him.
Maybe he underfueled the car. Maybe he's running qualifying fuel. Like, he could have been running qualifying fuel by mistake.
Possibly. A lot of fuel to carry. Oh, yeah, actually, to go this far into the race. People have made that mistake before, right? You know, I've done it before too. Luckily, I remember I made the mistake before of adding 3 laps of fuel in for the race when you're meant to add, obviously, about 58. And I remember the race got restarted, and I only realized when the race got restarted. So a very lucky break for me. Hopefully, we restart this race for Heikkinen if that's his mistake.
We've got, by the way, just to let you know, it's almost 2:15 here, so it's quarter past 1 GMT. As soon as this race finishes, we are going to take you immediately over to coverage of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live, so don't worry, you won't miss anything to do with qualifying. Mario Bertolotti though leads his motor race now. David Williams right behind him, so we have now got a two-way scrap. It is a clear two-way scrap for the race lead because Mark McDonald, who runs himself in third place, has got himself an 11.4 second deficit to David Williams. And also Sindre Sestas here. First race he's running in, looking maybe now at a podium.
Yep, so will be a good result to walk away from. But Sestas, can he do it into Stowe? He creeps in the braking zone. That's going to run himself wide there. And you can see as well, leaving tire tracks on the racetrack. He's really pushing it. And that leaves him into the clutches of Klaus Kivikas now. So Kivikas there looking and searching for P3. He's got too much time, Will. I think with 12 minutes to go, it's inevitable that he'll get this done because he does have the pace. And after that spin, 12 seconds behind the leaders is it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. David Williams are going to ride on board with him right now. And Klaus Kivikas, you are right, is in P number 5. So we're going to ride on board with one of these two Koala drivers, just having a look at which one's going to be more beneficial to look at. And we're going to ride on board with both of them. We start by having a look on board with Klaus Kivikas, who's actually really messing up Brooklyn's Woods. The driver on Mark McDonald here, Sindre Sestas, is still right behind as they exit Luffield Corner. So Sestas actually might be the first driver to get a bite of the cherry as they now work themselves through Woodcock towards the start-finish line, towards Kopp's Corner. Can Sestas make the move into Kopp's Corner? No, he can't. Let's go on board then through Sector 1 with that driver on Klaus Kivikas, RaceSpot TV, fan immersion. Shall we stop that? Because Sestas there, side by side, in towards Maggots there. That was close, Johnny.
Oh, good stuff. I love the flair that these drivers have shown all season in the Porsches. Kivikas now with a good run on the hanger straight. I think he's got a shot here at Sestas. Can he do it on Sindre going in to Stowe? Sindre has a look on McDonald. Oh, closes the door. That's as close as it will get. Can Kivikas, though, maintain the line on the exit? Nobody spins off, most importantly. Here they go under braking for Vale.
Club.
A club, excuse me, yes.
Club Corner, there we are. They're working themselves through Club Corner right now. And you see that the three drivers, they are now pretty much nose to tail. It will eke out through Club Corner because the tyres are just screaming for grip. Now down into the Abbey chicane they come again. Sestas a little bit loose there, under braking. You can see that car just wobbling a little bit. Now it's underneath the bridge again. They will go into the stadium section of the racetrack. Into Priory they'll come. As I will say that these three drivers are putting on a hell of a show, although it does look like Sestas there is having to alternate between playing attack and defense as Klaus Kivikas. Let's see who gets the best run out of these three drivers out of Chapel, because I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see someone make a move at some point in towards Kopp's Corner if they get a good enough run. This time by as they work themselves past the stripe, while Klaus Kivikas is far closer to Sestas than Sestas is to Mark McDonald.
Yeah, there. Once again, it's another round here. Look at the exit, though, for Kivikas out of Kopp's. Where's he going to go, left or right? He backs off. Just releases the throttle a little bit to give him some breathing room. Sometimes the driver in front, it's just important to have that little bit of breathing space to brake and throw it deep here into this corner. And on the exit, you'll see into Chapel. This is the one Will was talking about. Applying the throttle, making sure there's no wheel spin. Dirty air won't really come into play. It's all about the grip here, but sets us now without the slipstream advantage. But I think he still has that buffer of breath to keep Kivikas behind.
Yeah, Kivikaso gets, you see there, immediately on the exit of Stowe corner, he tried to angle that car to the right-hand side to try and do the corner, and Cestas going very, he got onto 2 wheels onto the grass, pushed him wide. There's a position for Kivikas, and Kivikas there, using some of his patented mind games there to, you know, just put the pressure on Cestas. Here's a look again, on board then, with the number 18 car, Sindre Cestas coming into club corner, 2 wheels on the grass, you see, struggling for grip immediately, pushes wide, has to go onto the grass, and this is not just going to cost him the position to class Kivikas. He loses the place in Jake Maloney as well, and also Scott Larnock now right behind him. So Cestas, after looking and having almost one eye on a podium place, now down into P number 6.
Yeah, so he lost it there, went through Stowe, and then went through the Vale Straight, excuse me. I called Club Vale before, and then he just lost it under braking. So it's a corner where, I mean, I really think it was just a brain lapse because, as you said, the pressure from Kivikas forced the error.
On board with David Williams. This is the battle, of course, for your race lead. We've been showing you some of the battles down in your field. Cestas versus Maloney is still a battle going on. Still got Kivikas versus McDonald going on. Williams doesn't get a good run out of Chapel Corner. This is why Bertolotti is able to keep this race lead right now, because Williams cannot nail Chapel Corner.
That's important, especially into Stowe. Possibly into this middle section. Let's have a look at Williams. We haven't taken a look at the Commanders SimSport driver that much this race, although we do know he's in a fight for the victory here with 7 minutes remaining. But, oh, did you see that? Under braking.
Yeah.
So, clipped the grass a little bit, and he had a slight twitch. Bit of quick steering adjustment, so good reaction time to fix and ameliorate on that error there. Turned it into a good exit. So now here they go into Abbey right now. Shaky under braking again for David Williams, whose front end didn't look that stable. So maybe that would be the difference going into the hangar, is going into Chapel, excuse me, onto the hangar straight, is the front end grip.
Yeah, we don't know if the car is strong, but it certainly wasn't stable as they worked themselves that last time onto the hangar straight away. Maloney, by the way, is 2.6 seconds behind Kivikas, and he is 4 times per second ahead of Sindre Cestas. Klaus Kivikas, he's still keeping the pressure on Mark McDonald right now. This is the battle for 3rd place, the final step on the podium here today. Kivikas looking to try and basically get back to where he started in this motor race. As Williams Bertolotti continues, Klaus Kivikas, Mark McDonald continues.
Isn't it funny how life works that way? So Kivikas will make his way back up, probably into P3 by the end of this event. Williams shows us a 10th behind in our timing screens across the line. Here they are now. The most important corner for him on the racetrack, at least, to end this event is Chapel. Through the exit.
He's lost the 10th again already.
Yeah, but the slipstream advantage is just not as big in the Porsches. Oh, throws up the inside. He's having a lunge. Whoa.
That was never going to work. That was never going to work for Williams. And the thing is, he loses at least a 10th of a second every time he goes through Chapel Corner. He did it again that last time by. And that's the issue. I mean, if he can nail Chapel Corner and be, you know, about where he is now on the exit of Club Corner, yeah, he'd be able to pull alongside. But he's losing time. And we talk about the fact that motor racing is sometimes a game of tenths of a second. It's sometimes where you lose that 10th of a second, where you lose that half a second. The best analogy, of course, is Daytona. If you can actually nail turn 6 and then close up to the guy in the slipstream, you can actually have a pretty good race and almost hide the deficiencies you have elsewhere. Here at Silverstone, there's really 2 or 3 places where you need to really make sure you can get on the power well. One of them's coming up, of course. That's the exit of Luffield.
Yep, definitely, of course. Having a look at P5, 6, 7 here. It was 3 wide on the run to Abbey. And one of the cars is off. That's Maloney. Oh, man. So a good scrap there. Heikkinen now, who made the pit stop and unfortunately lost the lead, is in this scrap as well. But that battle was going on for several corners, Will. And right now, Maloney ended up worse off. Has to get a replay of that.
Yeah, we're having a look at the replay of it right now. Jake Maloney, let's have one more look on board of him. And it started off with a bit of beating and banging, actually, through Club Corner. I want to just take this replay back another 15 seconds and show you. So, first part of Club Corner, you see how close they are. Then the number 29 machine, Maloney, gets a little bit loose and runs into the rear of the Blue Flag Racing number 18 car. This then basically forces this 3 wide situation And then as we go on board with Maloney right now, they come down into the Abbey chicane. You see a bit of a back end getting loose for him. Then a little bit of contact. Maloney down into 8th place. Well, Jenny Heikkinen is thinking, you know what? I can now start doing a kivvy cast. I might be able to make up some of the positions that I lost due to an unforeseen circumstances. And here comes Heikkinen, in fact. He's very close to the rear Scott lineup as they come down in towards Stowe Corner, and he will shove it down the inside. Will Lionheart give him the position? The answer to that is, well, they're going to push a little bit wide, but no, Heikkinen cannot get past.
Yep, so lead as well. Williams has gone into the lead on Bertolotti. That was at Luffield, so big mistake there as we're looking at the replays. And so these guys are in a scrap. This race is heated up out of nowhere in the final few laps, so guys starting to choke under pressure and different scraps around the racetrack. We'll have a look at that soon.
Yeah, we've got the replay coming up for you now of Bertolotti. We just have to, well, we'll try and find it for you. Give us a couple of moments here. We're going to try and find it now. And here we are. This is going to be David Williams then. We're on board with him. And this is going to be the moment where Bertolotti into Luffield Corner. There we are, back end kicking out for Bertolotti. That was the opportunity, the one opportunity that David Williams needed to get himself to the race lead, and he managed to make it work absolutely beautifully. And there's another look then. On board now with Mario Bertolotti as he just exits the corner. Yeah, it was actually under acceleration. We don't often talk about it, but it's the fact that he tried to get on the gas pedal just a little bit too early. Bertolotti now down into P number 2. This race has been all over the place the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, Bertolotti not happy. His throttle was. So that forced him down into P2. He's still got a shot at victory. And he's creeping in at Stowe right now. I was about to say before, Williams under braking going into club at turn 8 was very, very strong. And I thought, just throw it up the inside and see how Bertolotti reacts. Surely he's got good spatial awareness. Doesn't need to do that now. But Bertolotti is pushing. He's pushing. I think it's important not to overdrive the car in these situations, but it's important to give 100% commitment. Don't go over the 100%, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely agree with that one. Jake Maloney there with the running board hit once again over Scott Lionheart. Heikkinen versus Indre Cestas. That one's going on as well. This is the battle for P5. So Indre Cestas at one point maybe looking at a podium. All of a sudden, he's now looking to maybe lose his 5th spot in the motor race. Heikkinen gets a very good run actually on the exit of club. We always talk about people making a move down into the Abbey chicane, but you forget how difficult it is because the track narrows up so much. It's always going to be a 50-50 move down there. Joni Heikkinen, though, on the exit of bridge, can he try and make a move and go down to the inside? He does. That was a brave one, but somehow they're still going in the same direction. Heikkinen is forced that car down to the inside. They remain side by side as they now go through Brooklands, pushing Cestas a little bit wide there. Heikkinen does make up the position, but that one was a little bit on the dirty side.
Very smart driving, I think, from Cestas, because the lap before, Heikkinen passed Scott Lanark into the same corner at priori. So now again, Heikkinen trying to attempt the same move, and Cestas was ready for it. And it's just so difficult defending in that corner because it's your right to defend, but the braking zone comes up so quickly, it's always inevitable for an incident to happen, and it's just not enough time to react. Moral of the story is clean racing. Final lap coming up right now, and David Williams is on path to a potential victory unless he butchers it. And based on last year's World Championship race, with Kroenke and Hutu, I don't want to gamble too early, and Williams loses it middle of club, and he picks it up on the exit, but Bertolotti's close.
White flag is out then. Time has expired. Bertolotti into the Abbey chicane. Can he do anything? We're riding from the rear of David Williams, and there's now really, we've just seen what happened with Cestas and Heikkinen. There is really now one opportunity to go as they work themselves under the bridge, and no, it looks like Bertolotti has backed out of it. It looks now like David Williams will be able to bring this car home for the win in the Koana Sim Sports #1 car. He's had an up and down season. He's had some bad luck, but as he exits Luffield Corner, it will be David Williams who will win here in the 6th round of, as Bertolotti loses it on the exit of Luffield for the 2nd time here today. David Williams will win round number 6 of the championship. Mario Bertolotti will come home in 2nd place. Klaus Kivikas is going to round out your podium here today. So, there's your podium. David Williams, Mario Bertolotti, and Klaus Kivikas. Just waiting now for the rest of the field to come through. Mark McDonald will come home in the 4th place. 5th place is going to go to Joni Heikkinen. Then, of course, he had that move over Sindre Sestas a lap and a half ago. And Heikkinen moves up into P5. Sestas down into 6th. Scott Larnach there, rounding out the 7th place. Maloney there, be heavily disappointed. He comes home in the 8th position. Let's show you your final race results here from Silverstone. David Williams wins out in the end by 3.8 seconds over Mario Bertolotti. 3rd place, Klaus Kivikas. Mark McDonald 4th. Joni Heikkinen in 5th. Sindre Sestras, Scott Larnach, Jake Maloney, Michal Latishov, and Scott McIntyre rounding out your top 10. There are your retirees up on your field. Joni Heikkinen, fastest lap of the day. Lap number 2, of course, he had to pit. Still finished in the top 5. Good job by him. That is all we've got time for. We are literally going to be live in 2 minutes' time for the next round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, round number 6. Don't go anywhere, because the main event is coming up next here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. Thank you for watching. This has been RaceSpot Race Day with Will Winson and Jonathan Simone.